Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing good. Today's video is about relative contraindications of placing implant. This video is a continuation of our last video in which we understood about absolute contraindications of placing implants. So, welcome once again. This is Dr. Manu and welcome to Tooth Tales. Let's start with today's topic. Let's understand first what are relative contraindications. Relative contraindications are those situations in which we should assess the risk and benefit of doing a particular procedure and then only we should go ahead. If we feel that the benefit of doing that particular procedure, in this case, like we are talking about implants, if we feel that the benefits of placing implants are higher than the risk, then yes, definitely we should go ahead with implant procedure. But if we feel that the benefits that patient will get after placing implants are not that much in comparison to the risk that we are taking, then this is a relative contraindication and we shouldn't go ahead with implant placements. So let's understand what are those factors. The first factor is prolonged use of corticosteroid. If there is a patient who has been using corticosteroids since long, then before going ahead with the procedure, we should stop and think. What happens with the prolonged use of corticosteroids? There is a reduced ability to absorb calcium and vitamin D in the body. Now, as you all know, calcium and vitamin D are very important, very crucial for bone formation. So, if there is improper or less absorption of calcium and vitamin D, then we can understand that the patient's bone won't be very strong. There can be bone loss, there will be osteoporosis, there will be weak bones. So, in such situations, placement of implant isn't a good idea. But this particular factor has been kept under relative contraindications because not everyone will have the same effect of corticosteroids. How a particular person is getting affected by corticosteroids depends upon a lot of factors. One factor could be the time period for which a person is taking corticosteroids. Second, it could be the dose, what particular dose a person is taking. There can be someone, see, it's everyone's body reacts differently to different drugs. So there can be one person who takes small doses of corticosteroids, but his bone can be badly affected. At the same time, there can be another person who is on higher doses of corticosteroids comparatively, but his bones are comparatively healthier. So we have to see and understand the situation for how long that particular person is taking corticosteroids. What is the dose of the corticosteroid and what is the effect of this particular drug on that particular patient's bone. Understanding all these situations, only we should take a decision whether to place implants or to avoid in this situation. Hence, it's a relative contraindication. The other factor is erythropoietic disorder. As you all know, erythropoietic disorders are those disorders in which there is disturbance in, red blood cells formation. RBC formation is not happening correctly. In such situation, placement of implant won't be a problem, but post-procedure healing can be an issue. So, if a patient is suffering from any kind of erythropoietic disorder, then we should think twice. We should assess the situation, and then only we should go ahead with the implant placement. Next is inadequately controlled diabetes. Now, if you all remember, uh, in my last lecture in absolute contraindications, I had kept a point about diabetes, about high sugar. If it's completely like uncontrolled and long standing diabetes, then it was an absolute contraindications because in such cases, healing will never happen. But if a patient is having inadequately controlled diabetes, then we can think about implant placement if a person is ready to get a proper control done. If the patient is ready to go to the physician, to his physician, and get proper medicine done, if he is following a good diet control, proper physical exercises, then yes, we can think about placing implants. Because what happens whenever there is inadequately controlled diabetes, then there is high blood sugar which can affect bone formation, which can increase bone loss, and which can also affect other body parts. These other body parts like our endocrine glands, if they get affected, they can further create a problem in proper bone formation. So all these factors can affect our bone formation, but it's a relative situation because we have to see whether the patient is ready to work for 2 to 3 months on his sugar levels and bring his sugar levels to normal. Then we can go ahead with implant placement. And how much this particular diabetes situation has affected the patient's bones. If we feel that it has not affected the bones much, then yes, we can go ahead with the placement. Next factor is malignant buccopharyngeal tumor. Any kind of malignant tumor is actually not a good situation to place implants, because malignancy, we never know, it can affect any part, maybe where the place where we have placed implant, that particular location also it can come. But especially if the malignant tumor is in the buccopharyngeal region. Buccopharyngeal region means buccal means our mouth, and pharynx. If anything is there in buccopharyngeal region, then it is a contraindication for placing implants, because for the particular treatment patient will have to go for chemotherapy and radiotherapy, which is gonna affect this oral region only, our mouth region only. And the healing of implant will be really bad. Even the bones won't be of that quality that placing implants will be uh, we cannot guarantee the success, and the prognosis of the case becomes really difficult. So we will have to see if a patient is having malignant buccopharyngeal tumor, then we should think about going ahead with the situation. But if the patient is really suffering and we feel that after placing implant patient's diet will improve, or patient is having a problem which gets really solved after placing implants and which is helping him more, then yes, we should go ahead with the placement. Another is mild endocrine disorder. Again, I will refer to my last lecture in which we were discussing absolute contraindications. In there was a point about endocrine disorder where patient is having uncontrolled endocrine disorder. If patient is suffering from any uncontrolled endocrine disorder, then that's an absolute contraindication. But if the endocrine disorder is mild and it can be managed with some kind of medicine, then yes, we can go ahead with, because these endocrine glands, they release some hormones which are responsible for both growth, both formation, bone remodeling. So if this situation is such that it is affecting the bone very badly, because it differs from person to person, then we shouldn't place implants. But if the situation is like with the help of medication, after some time everything will be normal, and the hormonal effects are not that bad on bone, then we can go ahead with the implant placement. Next is psychosis or unrealistic expectations. This actually applies to all the treatments, I will say. It is not only for implants. If a patient is having very high expectation, unrealistic expectation that he can chew anything which is, there are few food items which we ask to avoid chewing directly on your teeth also. And if patients want to chew those kind of food items with their implants, then it's really something which is really unrealistic. These kind of expectation of if any patient is having, then we should either try to make that patient understand that see, it is an artificial thing which is going inside your mouth and it has got its own limitations somewhere. Anything, see, even if the best doctor, the best surgeon puts the best implant possible for you, and even the healing is very good, you can never compare the strength with a natural tooth. A natural tooth will always be more stronger and better than any kind of replacement. So anything which can harm your natural tooth can definitely harm your implant also. So patient should understand the limitations of any procedure. Only if a patient understands that and is agreeing for it, and he is ready to still go for the procedure, we should do, we should go ahead with the procedure. If any patient is having unrealistic expectations, then we should better avoid, because the prognosis will be good also, but the way the patient will handle the implant, the rough handling of the patient will make a successful prognosis also will go for failure. So we should first make patient understand what kind of results he will get, what he can do and what he can't do with the implant, and only when the patient agrees with that, we should go ahead with implant placement. The next factor is heavy smoking. See what happens any with smoking. No, there is vasoconstriction, and because of this vasoconstriction, no, there will be marginal. It will affect healing badly. There will be marginal bone loss, and it can cause bacterial infection. It can cause peri-implantitis, and if by chance a bone graft has been placed in that particular case, then the healing of graft is very difficult in case of heavy smokers. Because what happens, any patient who smokes, because of smoking there is a pressure which is created inside the mouth, and there is vasoconstriction, and this local absorption of nicotine in the local tissues, no, it will affect healing badly. Healing will never ever happen in heavy smokers. But again, it's a relative situation, because if a heavy smoker is very adamant and he is not ready to quit smoking or reduce smoking, then it's better we avoid placing implants. I have myself asked patient for a written consent to stop smoking. Only then I will place implants. Otherwise, I have denied placing implants for few patients who are like really heavy smokers, because this is not good for the health of implants in future. But it becomes a relative contraindications, because if a particular patient is ready to stop smoking, either reduce or stop or quit for some time, then yes, the placement of implant can be done. What I advise is we should stop, that particular patient should stop smoking at least 1 week prior. If he can stop 1 month prior, then it will be the best situation. But minimum, he should stop smoking 1 week prior to the procedure, and 2 to 3 months post procedure. If a patient can stop smoking, then yes, we can place implants in such situation. But we should be aware, we should know that the patient is heavy smoker, and accordingly also the patient should be informed that because of your smoking habit, the healing won't be good, and in future also it can affect the health of implants. Patient should be pre-informed before we go ahead with the procedure. The next is bruxism. Now, what is bruxism? Now, this bruxism and clenching are unconsciously biting hard on our teeth. Some people, they don't know, either consciously or unconsciously, due to some particular stress, tension, or as a matter of habit, they end up biting very very hard, something which is difficult for our teeth and our joint also to accept. In such people, the occlusal load is very high. Because of this occlusal load, there will be definitely bone loss, especially the marginal bone loss will be very high in such patients. And the load which an implant can take, the occlusal load will exceed that limit that an implant can take, and the implant will go for a failure. So if you observe that there are signs of bruxism and clenching in any patient, then you should try to correct that situation first and then go for implant placement. It's not that bruxism and clenching patient shouldn't go for implant placement, but we should try to correct that situation first and then only go ahead with implant placement. Otherwise, post prosthesis, that patient will fail, that patient will go for an implant failure. The next is TMJ disorders. Now, this is a vice versa situation. Because of TMJ disorder, we should think and then only go for implant placement. Reason being, there will be pain and inflammation in a patient which is having TMJ disorder. There could be pain over the joint, in this TMJ joint. There can be inflammation over there, and because of this, mouth opening can be a problem. Anterior implants, yes, somehow they can be managed. If it's a posterior implant, then it might be difficult for the patient to open mouth for a little longer. If it takes, if while doing the procedure, at times we never know how much time it will take, and if we are asking patient to open for a little longer, he might start having pain in TMJ. Post procedure, he might suffer, or maybe while during the procedure the joint gets stuck. So if a patient is suffering for TMJ disorder, then first we should try to put patient on some muscle relaxant to make the muscles over here little relaxed, so that while doing the procedure, patient is not having much pain. We should try to correct the TMJ disorder first, and then we should go for implant placement. Also, the situation is any patient who is having multiple missing teeth. because of improper bite, because of improper occlusion, he might end up in TMJ disorder. So both these situations are like vice versa. Any patient with multiple missing teeth might have improper occlusion, which can lead to TMJ disorder. But any patient who is already having a TMJ disorder, before placing implants, we should try to correct or at least reduce the TMJ disorder first and then go for implant placement. So these were the points. The last but not the least is poor oral hygiene. If there is a patient who is not really good in maintaining oral hygiene, then we should think before placing implants, because if someone is not maintaining his natural teeth, he might not take care of his implants as well, and implants will definitely need some care. Post procedure also, you should properly clean. Every 6 months you should come for a dental visit and you should get a cleaning done. All those maintenance are definitely required after implant placement. So if the patient's oral hygiene is something like this shown in the picture, then we should inform patient that, see, if you can spoil your natural tooth, then you can very well spoil your implant also. We should give good oral hygiene instruction to the patient, should go for a proper full mouth scaling we should do for the patient, and we should tell the importance, reinforce again and again the importance of oral hygiene for the patient. And we should tell patient that if you are not able to maintain your oral hygiene, then if not today, tomorrow your implant is gonna fail. Everything else is good, we will place implant, prognosis will be good, your implant will heal, you will be able to bite. But if you don't maintain it in the long run, if not today, tomorrow it's gonna fail. So such patients, we should make sure that we make them understand the importance of oral hygiene, and once they are sure that they will be maintaining their oral cavity, then we can go for implant placement. So that is the last situation. If you guys have seen my last video about absolute contraindications, then you'll be able to relate to this topic more. If any one of you have missed the absolute contraindications, then you can go and see that topic about absolute contraindications, and it will be more relatable. You'll be understanding both the topics together. That's all for today. Thanks for your patient listening. Please don't forget to like, share, and comment. Anything, what are your views about the videos? Are you liking these videos, or you are not liking anything about this video? Please do mention. I would like to, answer all your questions, and I would like to make videos on anything that you like to see. Also, subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much.